say so. Yeah, I know. That was a velociraptor. No mistaking that. You hear that call in your sleep after a while. Sounds like metal scraping on bone. Once you've worked with them long enough, you stop thinking of them as animals. They're more like problems wearing skin. No, I'm not joking. Look, I know you're scared. I get it. First time I saw one up close, I nearly pissed myself. No shame in that. They're not like any predator you've seen before. They test the fences. They coordinate. Hell, they even seem to enjoy it. Like it's a game and we're the toys. But listen, if you want to get out of here alive, you need to stick with me and do exactly what I say. Got it? Good. I've been here for, 6 years? Started when they were still building the new enclosures, after the old park went sideways. I read the incident reports, Dr. Saddler's field notes, Muldoon's audio logs, the stuff they never released to the public. You think they cleaned everything up after the Hammond disaster? Think again. Some of those files were locked so tight, I had to trade 2 weeks of hot water to peek at them. They knew the raptors were a problem. They always knew. And they still brought him back. I trained the juveniles, Delta and Echo 2, before they moved her to Island Sorna. Smart as hell. Smarter than the handlers half the time. One of them figured out how to unlock a key. Not open it, unlock it. With her claw. Watched a duck do it once and just mimic the motion. That was the first time I really understood what we were dealing with. But, of course, InGen said I was being dramatic. They're just animals, they said. Just treat them like big wolves. Sure, wolves don't disembowel you for blinking wrong. You want to know the real kicker? They were building another park in Saudi Arabia. Bigger, flashier, flying reptiles on display. Didn't matter how many people died here. Investors just wanted a return. The board was practically salivating over petting zoos, petting zones, dinosaur petting zones. Pteranodon petting zones. Idiots. Shh. There. You hear that? Okay. It's just the wind. Or one of the smaller herbivores. Probably a Gallimimus. If it were something bigger, we'd hear the trees snap. When the T-Rex moves, it's like thunder under your feet. Once you've felt it, you'll never forget. No, we're not going that way. That's where the paddock was. I saw the logs. They were doing gene splicing again. Not just the usual stuff. I'm talking chameleon DNA, cuttlefish skin, even something from a deep sea squid they haven't classified yet. I don't know what the hell they were making in there, but it sure as hell wasn't a regular dinosaur. Dr. Wu, he always said science needs to push boundaries, but boundaries exist for a reason. And when you break them, you better be ready for what breaks back. Come on, keep moving, low and quiet. You know, it's funny. I used to think this place was magic. First few months I was here, I'd sit outside the feeding station just to watch the brachiosaurus move, like watching mountains walk. They don't even seem to care you're there. Just eat, sleep, breathe. Pure, honest. The way nature was meant to be. And then the power goes out one time, and suddenly, it's delayed, crustaceous, and we're on the menu. You ever see a compy swarm feed? No. For you don't. They come in friendly, chirping, bouncing like little green puppies. But once they smell blood, it's like someone flipped a switch. 1 minute, you're swatting them away. Next minute, you're nothing but bones and shoe leather. They got a guard last week. Bastard liked to poke them through the cage with his baton. Guess they remembered. Guess they waited. That's the thing. They always remember. I had a Utah raptor once. We called her Marla. She was different, kept to herself, didn't show off like the others. Quiet, too quiet. One day I go in for routine feeding, and I see the other raptors are huddled in the back, acting spooked. And Marla, she's just standing there staring at the door. She'd smeared mud over the wall sensors. She knew how the system worked. Knew the gate wouldn't open if the heat sensors didn't trip right. That's when I stopped sleeping at night. Alright, see that building? That's the old genetics lab. It was decommissioned after the human incident, but rumor has it they kept a few legacy embryos down in cold storage. Cloned from the original stock. I wouldn't put it past them to have something nasty still down there. We're not going in, but we can use the service tunnel that runs underneath it. Leads out toward the western dock. Maybe we'll get lucky and find a boat. Why am I helping you? Because you're the first person I've seen in hours who isn't bleeding or missing half a torso. And I'm tired of surviving alone. This place, it changes you. Makes you hard. Makes you forget what it's like to hear a human voice that isn't screaming. You remind me of someone I used to know. A handler named Lex. Not the girl from the first park. This was years later. She joined because she thought she could make things better. Safer. She had this whole plan to train herbivores for rescue missions. Thought we could use dregs to pull wreckage. Ankylosaurs to guard perimeters. She lasted 3 weeks before a Dilophosaurus bit in her face. She didn't die though, but she never came back. You smell that? No, don't breathe deep. That's ammonia. Carnivore scent. Someone's marking territory. We're in hunting grounds now. Look, you see those scratch marks on the trees? Those are fresh. That's not a T-Rex. That's something leaner. Faster. Too high for a raptor. Too low for a carno. Jesus, maybe it's the hybrid. I thought it died. Okay, change of plan. Riding for the ranger station. It's got an emergency beacon and a blast door. If we can get inside, we might have a shot. But we have to move now. I know you're tired. I know your legs are shaking. Mine are too. But if we stop moving, we die. Simple as that. You still with me? Good. Let me tell you something. When I got this job, I thought it'd be all science and wonder. That we were doing something special. Bringing back lost history. Fixing what nature had forgotten. But nature didn't forget. It erased them for a reason. Maybe that's the real lesson Eamon never learned. This isn't a park. It's a tomb. Come on. Let's make sure we don't end up part of the exhibit. Alright, let's step over that route. Careful, it's slick. Rain came through here hard. You can still smell the ozone. Jungles never dry for long. It's like the island sweat sphere. You ever wonder why they picked this island? I read somewhere Hammond chose Island Nublar because of its isolation and trade winds, meant to protect the gene sequencing labs from contamination. I think it was more than that. I think he wanted a place no one could escape from. A place where he could play God and no one would question him. You think this is the only island? Yeah, there are more. Not just Sorna. You ever hear of Island Morta? Didn't think so. They keep the failures there. I had a friend in cleanup. He told me some stories. Things with extra limbs, no eyes. Some of them never stopped growing. Others never stopped screaming. Human stream didn't die. It mutated. That's the real Jurassic legacy. Ambition without restraint. Chaos disguised as control. Ian Malcolm tried to warn them. Hallie practically screamed it at them. But rich men don't listen to chaos theorists. Not until the blood's on their own shoes. Hold up. You hear that clicking? That's not an insect. That's a stalker call. Dilophosaur, maybe two. Trying to triangulate us. They click when they're hunting together. It's like sonar. You stand still too long, they zero in on your breath. Alright, we're going to move again. Quiet, no words, just nod if you're ready. Good. You're lucky, you know. Not everyone gets a second chance. Most people here, they run once, then they don't run again. But you, something in you is hanging on. I've seen that look in people's eyes right before the gate opens. That refusal to give in. That's the kind of look that gets people off this island. When we get to the ranger station, there'll be a locker on the left. Code 1187. That's Muldoon's old ID number. I keep flares, water, a flare gun, and one very illegal pistol in there. No, I don't care if it's against regulation. Regulation doesn't mean anything when you're being hunted by things with foot-long claws and a chip on their shoulder. I lost someone once, early on. His name was Harris, my partner on the Raptor detail. He didn't believe they could open doors. Even after the first incident, he laughed it off. They're animals, he said. They don't learn like we do. Well, one of them watched him for 6 days. Didn't eat, didn't blink. Just watched. And then one night, while Harris was doing his rounds alone, she tested the latch. Twice. Third time, she opened it. They found what was left of him 20 meters from the cage. They never found his rifle. I still hear her at night sometimes, scraping metal with her claw. You think they're just predators, but there's something else behind those eyes. Something calculating. Ancient. Like they remember what we did. Maybe we shouldn't have brought them back. Maybe some things are supposed to stay gone. Hey, you okay? You're limping. Let me see. It's not just a scratch. Dang, must have clipped yourself on that razor vine back there. Alright, sit just for a second. I'll wrap it. Hold still. This is going to sting. Breathe through it. You ever notice how the dinosaurs don't roar unless they're showing off? Real predators, they're quiet, silent until the last moment. The T-Rex roar, that's a display, a flex. But the raptors, they don't roar, they whisper. Okay, you're good. Not perfect, but it'll hold. Let's keep moving, we're close. I can smell oil. Fuel lines near the station link sometimes. It's not much, but in a place like this, even the smell of machinery feels like hope. If we get to the station and the radio's still working, I've got a friend on the mainland. He owes me. He was supposed to extract me last year after a disagreement with security. Let's say Ingen doesn't like when you tell the truth. If he's still monitoring the emergency channel, he might be able to send a drone or a boat. Might take hours, might take days, but it's a chance. And that's more than most people get out here. There, that ridge. Once we're over it, we'll see the antenna. After that, we just have to pray nothing sees us. always say life finds a way. People think it's some optimistic slogan, something you put on a t-shirt. But out here, it's not hope. It's a warning. Life finds a way to survive, even if it has to kill everything else to do it. Alright, you ready? Then let's finish this, one step at a time. And if something comes at us, you run. You don't look back. I'll hold them off. Don't argue, that's the deal. You survive, you get off this island, and when you do, you tell them what really happened here. Because if we don't, they'll just build it again, and next time, we won't be lucky enough.